So, yeah, l'enquête partie. How did your happen? What exactly happened to you? How, if so, did your relationship to yourself and to the world change? And did you, ça c'est pour les curieux, did you follow any practice or any teacher? Were you seeking?
Yes, well, on va commencer par la quatrième, par la quatrième, oui, c'est ça. So, whoop, the thing is going on. Tu me diras, hein, pour me tenir au courant. It's okay? Okay. So, what was the question?
The last question?
The last question.
Did you follow any practice or did you have any teacher?
I never had any teacher, and I was not seeking anything. Yes, I was seeking something, but not that. I didn't have any idea that such a thing existed. So I was in a very good position because I was innocent. I was not seeking. I was seeking something, but not that. So, and what's more, I was not, how do you say that, could you say that? I was not very nervous about anything, you see. I was full of amusement. I was amusing myself to death, trying to understand what I wanted to understand, which had nothing to do with that I business, nothing to do. So, in fact, that the ideal circumstances, the perfect circumstances, the chap does exactly what he should do, without knowing he's doing it. He's doing something useful. And so I was, you could say, meditating, but with my intelligence. And on a small phrase from Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Of course, it's not, the therefore should not be there. I think I am, God exists. That's the real sentence. And I was working on that because I had a few days before I had an intuition that there was a truth in that sentence, a mysterious truth which concerned me at an incredible degree. I mean, if I could get the answer from that question, not intellectual answer, but the real answer, I would know myself. But I was just trying to break that secret, that fabulous secret. I had no idea that there was a me behind me. I mean, absolutely no idea. And so it went on for hours. I was meditating, and after 1 or 2 hours, I was extremely tired. My mind was extremely tired, but nevertheless, it was so amusing, and so it's such a defeat that I was going on. So at the moment, I said to myself, "Well, I'm stupid to go on because I'm dead tired. My brain won't resist. My mind won't resist."
What were you doing exactly?
Well, I was repeating inside myself, and may I say that I had a very good notion of what was the inside. At that time. I was 16. So I was repeating to myself, I am, therefore I am. I think that, therefore I am. But I was working on that on a very special way, not the usual way. I was not thinking really, trying to get the answer out of a reasoning thinking. I was just trying to put the real meaning of the words. I think, I am, in the sentence. And of course, my idea was if I succeeded in that curious work, strange work, well, the meaning of the thing would come out. And it would come out to me as a blow, a fantastic blow. So in fact, it was quite realistic the way. But I've never thought in another way, you see. My way of thinking is always concrete, realistic. I don't go with abstractions. But nevertheless, I think my intelligence was involved in it, really involved in it. So I did that for hours, as I told you. And at the moment, I say to myself, well, it's no use going on. You're crazy to push on that pedal any longer, because you're dead. I had the impression that I was crawling on the floor with bloody knees, you see, bleeding knees. I was nearly on the verge of fainting. And suddenly, well, I kept on pushing toward that goal. And suddenly, something very incredible happened, that I was awake. And may I tell you that I was 16, and my mind was was not asleep, was awake. My mind was alive and awake, and I felt alive and awake. And suddenly, well, I found myself behind all I knew of my mind, behind, you could say beyond, but it's in the wrong direction, behind, and what was I there? It's the first time in fact, the first time I connected that famous I principle. So I became I, and what was I? It was pure consciousness, aware of itself, and that was an infinite. There was a really concrete infinite. It's not an idea. It was there. It was infinite. And what was I? Well, I was that. I was that thing. It was me. In fact, that's an important point, that you could say, well, it's another abstraction, it's something. But it's not. It was not at all an abstraction. It was me. I means me. It means myself, in French, moi. But you see, it was not impersonal. On the contrary, it was the fantastic discovery, concrete discovery, that I personally was a soul, was a pure spirit, was pure consciousness, but it was me. It was me. So I was born on at that moment. And there's that thing is very queer. That thing I became is very queer, because it works in a very, it has a very special way of working, because it does itself. You see, it's not a state in which you could lie in a bourgeois way. It's not a big armchair where you lie there. No, it's fundamentally active. So that thing does that thing, that infinite of consciousness or awareness is active, and it makes itself. It does itself. Well, it does not. When you say it makes itself, or there's a temptation to refer to an action in time. Of course, it's not an action in time, but I suppose it's what they call in philosophy a pure act. But it's an act, and who had the idea of the act and the intention of the act? Well, it was the act itself. So the thing, well, it's a verb. You see, it's not the state. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's a verb, and the verb was.
Generates itself?
Well, generated itself. And the thing has been going on for 50 years now. First, it's always the first time. That's where it's difficult to describe the thing, because it's true that it's been going on for 50 years, but in fact, when I do it, when the I principle does it, but the I principle is me. You don't have to split the thing in I and me. The illusion is not me, it's what I think about me. I mean, so that I, me, generates itself, and it's been going on for 50 years, but it's always the first time. So it's a paradox for the logic, because it's let's say, a million time, or a billion time, but it's always the first time. The first, no change, no change. Very strange.
Yeah, because the idea, the time itself, is an idea, is something that we have created. So this is not in this time. This is not.
No, the way we live time is very bad, false. We think there's the notion of cause and effect in our conception of time. So that's an hallucination. Time is not that. I don't say that time doesn't exist, but it's not what we think. It's space exists also, but it's absolutely not what we think. Our representation of space is entirely false and an illusion. But what's very nice, it's beyond, you can use that word, beyond that false conception of space and that false conception of time, there's a real space, a real word, and a real time, and that's, you have a name in English for that, it's Eden. But at the first time, I mean, it didn't change anything about perception, no major changes occurred in my perception of the world. I mean, in fact, the world was not there, you see. The world was not invented from that point of view, very special point of view. So there was just that pure and sheer consciousness aware of itself, and that was me, that was I, and that there was an infinite value. An infinite value. I can't say God because God is over there, and this is exactly in the other direction. So it's impossible to have some devotion for that thing. It's impossible to have some reverence for that thing because if you have some devotion for something, it's an object, not the pure subject, not in the other direction. So, in fact, I can spit on that thing. It doesn't harm it. It won't ever. But it will go. The thing itself will approve because my intention is good. My intention is to put the thing at the right place, not over there, but here now, at the center of myself, beyond the center, the normal center of myself. So, what should be said is that there's an infinite value. I cannot call it bliss or felicity. It's not exactly the right word. It's not ecstasy. It's much more than ecstasy. It's very mysterious because the infinite value is there. If you dared to compare that with other values, well, all the other values, love included, would seem nothing, but of course you don't do that, you don't compare. Compare means thinking, relating things and thinking. You don't have to compare. Well, that's what you call an intrusion, and an intrusion has barefoot feet. Yeah. So, in fact, that value is very mysterious. But of course, you don't discuss the fact of that value, of that evidence. It's there, and it's you. And you know immediately that you know everything. See, not intellectually, because all knowledges have been destroyed. I don't know a goddamn thing. Even at 7 years, when I was 7 years old, I knew lots of things. Now I don't know a goddamn thing. I'm too young for that, you see. That thing is very young, you see. It's just being born. It's borning, just being born. It doesn't know. It's so young that nobody has tried to put into it some knowledge. It's too young. So I don't know a goddamn thing. I don't even know that, you see.